These are the teams we're speaking about today. Truck driver shortage looms over 2022. Milton wants to inspect Nikola vehicles Feds say he lied about. That could be the same or worse next year, with those estimates expected to surpass 160,000 by 2030. ATA estimates earnings are increasing at a rate 5 times their historical average, with the average weekly earnings for long-haul drivers being up more than 25% since the beginning of 2019. Hello friends of TDT YouTube channel. No news is good news, but not in the trucking industry. A lot of things have happened since 2022 started. Be aware of all changes and make right decisions. My name is Nancy. I'll try to help you with understanding the current situation in logistics in the US. Our team does research and we're ready to share with you. These are the teams we're speaking about today. Truck driver shortage looms over 2022. Milton wants to inspect Nikola vehicles Feds say he lied about. Truck driver shortage looms over 2022. Trucking is likely to continue to see a shortage of professional drivers, with the underlying causes showing no signs of stopping in 2022. American trucking associations estimate that the industry needs 80,000 more drivers. That could be the same or worse next year, with those estimates expected to surpass 160,000 by 2030. High demand, a lack of new drivers, and retirements play into the issue. Daniel Most, Vice President of Operations and Safety at CPC Logistics, said he thinks there's still going to be a shortage that's significant because of supply and demand. There's still going to be a lot of freight to move next year and the same or fewer drivers. The industry has been pursuing a range of solutions. The primary method carriers have used to attract drivers is raising pay. ATA estimates earnings are increasing at a rate 5 times their historical average, with the average weekly earnings for long-haul drivers being up more than 25% since the beginning of 2019. But those efforts mostly have amounted to carriers competing over the same limited pool of drivers with a lack of new entries. He thinks that as long as the freight market continues to do what it's been doing, and from everything he's been hearing from folks that they work with, he doesn't expect that to change, at least through the first 2 quarters and possibly the first 3 quarters. He believes that it's just going to be more of the same at this point, unless it can start getting more drivers, newer drivers, attracted to the market. It's still going to be up against the wall. This Milton noted that when it comes to retention, it is important for carriers to be aware of what issues drivers are facing. That means communicating constantly with the drivers and having the ability to quickly identify and intervene when problems arise. When it comes to the drivers that are in the market right now and new drivers entering the market, he thinks they're more of the same. Carriers knowing what their drivers are saying right now is probably more important than it's ever been, because you have to have the ability to identify and intervene in order to retain drivers right now. This week noted that the situation next year will depend on how current market conditions evolve. Freight demand remaining high, for instance, will mean there will continue to be a heightened demand for drivers. He also pointed that the semiconductor chip shortage, slowing the supply of new equipment, and the coronavirus pandemic as playing a role. He supposed that once you kind of get the whole chip thing figured out, a lot of chips come from Malaysia. It could possibly be seen as a pickup in the auto hauling side of things. Then, depending on what happens with the president's restructure bill, you could see an increase in a lot of construction areas, which would be good for flatbeds. There's still a couple of issues that we need to wait and see what happens that could actually increase what is already a very heavy freight market. The Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, a professional program that takes professional drivers off the road for failing a drug or alcohol test, reported in August that it has logged 93,808 violations since January 2020. He mentioned that only 20,000 of them have done what they needed to do to get their licenses reinstated. There's 80,000 right here, and they'll be on pace to lose another 50,000 to 60,000 potentially next year. And then there's all the retirements. With an aging driver force, can we get the younger population interested in this type of job? Obviously, the industry is doing a lot of things to try and make it more appealing to younger individuals. Most noted that flexibility in this type of work carriers are offering could help attract new drivers. He noted that maybe somebody with a young family might be more interested if they could be home more often. He believes that without that, the industry probably will be in a similar position. Milton wants to inspect Nikola vehicles Fed said he lied about. Nikola co-founder Trevor Milton claims federal prosecutors refused access to company vehicles and equipment he says are crucial to his defense against fraud charges. Milton, who is scheduled to go on trial in April, asked a judge on January 14 to allow him to inspect and photograph certain prototypes and other Nikola property and places. He said the government and the company have refused his repeated request. Access to the evidence is necessary to refute claims that Milton misled investors. Milton is accused of lying about the success of his debut truck, the Nikola 1, and claiming the company had engineered and built an electric and hydrogen-powered truck called the Badger. He also allegedly claimed Nikola was producing hydrogen at reduced cost and that it had developed batteries and other components itself. Milton's lawyer said in the court filing that the inspection of those items and demonstration of the functionality of the technology go to the crux of his defense. Milton wants his lawyers and experts to inspect prototypes for the Badger, the Nikola 1, and the UTV, as well as the hydrogen demonstration station and a media station, all of which are located at a company facility in Phoenix. Milton, who stepped down from the company in 2020, was charged in July with misleading investors about electric vehicle makers' perspectives in order to boost its stock price. He has pled not guilty. Last month, Milton asked for the case to be thrown out, saying he wasn't given fair notice that the alleged statements he made could be considered criminal and that prosecutors haven't shown how his comments influenced purchases or sales of Nikola stocks, amongst other arguments. The following week, the company agreed to pay a $125 million civil penalty to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission without admitting or denying wrongdoing. Good luck, stay healthy, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. More videos are coming soon. Bye!